In the depths of eternal time, Eru Ilúvatar, the all-powerful creator, brought forth the Ainur, a magnificent ensemble of angelic spirits that would shape the foundations of the world. As they began to sing the music of the Ainur, the harmony was almost divine, but amidst the beauty, a discordant note emerged. Melkor, the most talented yet troubled of the Ainur, introduced a dark theme, born of his own ambitions and pride. This disruption was the seed of corruption, and it began to draw in other spirits who were swayed by Melkor's raw power. The Umayar, a legion of dark, lesser angelic beings, were the first to fall under Melkor's influence, and thus the seeds of darkness were sown, threatening to ruin Ilúvatar's perfect creation. This was the beginning of a tale of strife, struggle, and the battle between harmony and discord. Before the music, Melkor wandered the void, craving the flame imperishable, Eru Ilúvatar's secret fire of creation. He sought to shape life and impose his vision, but the flame remained with Eru beyond reach. When Eru commanded the Ainur to weave the music, their harmonies filled the timeless halls and spilled into the void. Restless, Melkor wove discord into the themes, seeking to dominate and twist the music. His chaos clashed with the harmony until Eru rose, introducing a resilient second theme and later a sorrowful third, which absorbed Melkor's most powerful notes into its beauty. Finally, Eru silenced the music with one overwhelming chord and unveiled the vision of Iyar, made real when he sent the flame into it. From the void, Melkor watched, his envy turning to malice while the Ainur prepared to enter Iyar and shape Arda. In the beginning, the Ainur, powerful spirits of thought and song, entered Iyar, the world that is, to shape the land of Arda, bringing forth its mountains, seas, and skies from the music of the Ainur. Each spirit brought its own vision, forming the world in harmony with the grand design of Eru Ilúvatar. But among them was Melkor, the mightiest of the Ainur, whose desire for dominion sowed discord. As his brethren worked to craft the beauty of Arda, Melkor twisted its primordial energies, corrupting the very elements of creation. His influence began to draw lesser spirits, those of weaker will, who, seduced by his power, gravitated towards him, laying the first seeds of darkness that would one day manifest in the monstrous creatures and shadowy forces of his making. Thus, Arda was born, but its fate was already tainted by Melkor's ambition. As Manwë, the leader of the Valar, entered the realm of Arda for the first time, he felt the winds and airs dance at his command, heralding his presence. Known as the Blessed One, he was the greatest of the Ainur, a beacon of authority and power among his kin, ever attuned to the will of Eru. While he rallied the Valar to safeguard the newly created world, Melkor lurked in the shadows, amassing dark forces, including fearsome Balrogs and cunning Umayar, intent on corrupting Eru's first creation. In response to Melkor's discord and the initial disruption of Arda, Manwë began to weave harmony into the world, calling upon the other Valar to shape the lands, create the skies, and nurture the burgeoning life, all while preparing to confront the encroaching darkness that threatened to engulf it. Varda, one of the mightiest of the Valar, arrived in Arda alongside her husband Manwë, as they prepared the world for life. Known as the Queen of the Stars, or Elbereth, she was revered for her unmatched beauty and her dominion over light. Her power lay in the stars she kindled, filling the heavens above Arda with their brilliance. She crafted constellations in anticipation of the awakening of the elves, and her presence radiated the light of Eru Ilúvatar himself. As the Valar shaped the world, her role was essential in guiding the forces of light, ensuring that even in the darkest times, the stars would shine to offer hope to the world below. As Varda spread her starlight across the skies, darkness, however, began to creep around her creations. In the dawn of time, when the Ainur were still weaving the harmony of Eru's creation, a discordant note echoed through the void, one of darkness and chaos. Gothmog, a Maiar spirit with a heart already inclined towards cruelty, was among the first to heed its call. As the Valar's music continued to shape the unfolding universe, Gothmog, drawn to Melkor's forbidden harmony, found himself enthralled by the promise of power and destruction. He was the first to join Melkor's discord, swaying to the rhythm of his lord's malevolent will, and thus the seed of rebellion was sown, marking the beginning of a fellowship of darkness that would soon engulf the Valar and shatter the balance of Eru's creation. Aule, known as the Smith of the Valar, played a vital role in the creation of Arda, shaping its lands, mountains, and the materials that form its core. His craftsmanship and knowledge were second only to Melkor, with whom he shared a dangerous similarity, their deep love for creation. However, while Aule remained loyal to Eru, dedicating his works to the greater good, Melkor sought only to dominate and destroy. As the forces of Melkor began their early assaults, led by the fierce Balrogs, Aule found himself in a constant struggle to repair the lands that were devastated by these dark forces. His creations, from towering mountains to fortresses, were often targeted and ruined, but he persisted, striving to rebuild what had been marred, reflecting his unwavering dedication to Arda's preservation. Ulmo, King of the Sea, Lord of Waters, and Dweller in the Deep, was one of the mightiest Ainur, descending into the depths of Arda in the early days of Aiar, shaping the seas, rivers, and lakes with his profound music that flowed through all waters, nurturing life and guiding the first hints of growth across the land. He governed the vast oceans, orchestrating the rhythmic ebb and flow of tides, which brought balance to the world. However, Melkor, in his malice, sought to undo Ulmo's work by unleashing monstrous sea beasts and dark mists that poisoned the waters, drowning Ulmo's creations in chaos. Where Ulmo had brought vitality and harmony, Melkor left ruin, threatening to consume all that had been built in the days before days. Yavana, the giver of life and queen of the earth, entered Arda from the timeless halls of Aiar with a heart full of love for all things that grow. As her spirit touched the world, she began to shape its barren lands, sowing the first seeds of the Olvar, the plants and trees that would cover the earth. Mosses, grasses, ferns, and towering trees sprang to life, filling the empty world with greenery under her watchful care. Beasts came forth and roamed the plains, swam in rivers and lakes, or walked in the shadows of the forests. Yet no flower had bloomed, nor had any bird sung, for such things still waited within Yavana's heart, their time yet to come. But as life spread across Arda, Melkor's influence crept in. Though he had not devised these creatures, he turned his malice upon them, corrupting serpents, worms, and lizards, twisting their forms and strength, sowing the first seeds of darkness within Yavana's creations. Melkor's dominion over Arda grew, his dark hand stretching across the land as his forces ravaged all in their path. Balrogs, wreathed in flame and shadow, led the onslaught, their whips cracking through the air as they tore through the creations of the Valar. Beneath them, monstrous creatures corrupted by Melkor rampaged, warping the earth itself. Volcanic eruptions spewed molten rivers that scorched forests and mountains, while storms and floods, conjured by his will, battered coasts, drowning regions under endless waves. Arda, once vibrant, now trembled beneath his heel. With every eruption and battle, Melkor's laugh echoed, mocking the Valar's faltering control. He stood on the brink of total domination, his forces unstoppable as the light of the Valar flickered in the shadow of his wrath. Oromar, the mighty huntsman of the Valar, entered Aiar and Arda to aid his brethren, as the Valar struggled in the first war against Melkor's growing shadow. As a Valar of immense power, he was second only to Tulkas in strength, but far more fearsome in his wrath. Oromar rides on his steed Nahar, whose hooves blaze like silver fire, striking terror into the hearts of all creatures. With his great horn Valaroma echoing through the shadowed lands, he hunts the strange, twisted creatures Melkor has unleashed, serpentine beasts and corrupted lizards that crawl from the dark places of the world. These monstrous abominations flee at the sound of his horn, for Oromaz's relentless hunt sweeps through the wilds, purging the land of their creeping evil. Tulkas, champion of the Valar, descended into Arda with a roar of laughter that shook the very foundations of the world. His arrival was like a storm, filled with unmatched power and joy in the battle to come. Upon hearing the laughter of this mighty warrior, Melkor, once the most feared among the Valar, trembled and fled beyond the walls of night, seeking refuge in the farthest reaches of the void. His dark forces, now leaderless, scattered in fear, retreating into the deepest shadows of Arda, where they would bide their time, waiting for the moment to re-emerge and strike again. As Tulkas stood victorious, the Valar rejoiced, for his arrival had halted Melkor's destruction, bringing peace and hope to Ilúvatar's creation once more. After Melkor's destruction ravaged Arda, the Valar united to restore the world to its former beauty. Aule, the great smith, forged the mountains anew, raising them high to protect the lands, while Ulmo, Lord of Waters, calmed the seas and rivers, bringing harmony to the restless waters. Varda, Queen of the Stars, illuminated the sky with her radiant creations, casting her light to chase away the lingering shadows. Yavana, the giver of life, nurtured the earth, bringing forth new plants, trees, and creatures to fill the once barren lands. At the center of this renewed world, the Valar built Almaren, a peaceful haven on a lush island in the middle of the Great Lake, hinting at a time of renewal and growth that lay ahead for all of Arda. In the early shaping of the world, when the Valar labored to bring order to Arda, Yavana sowed the first seeds across the lands, yet the earth remained shadowed and still. To answer her need for light, Aule, the master craftsman, forged two towering pillars, one in the north and one in the south. Upon these pillars, Varda, the Lady of the Stars, placed vessels filled with brilliant light. Iluin, shining blue, was set high upon the northern pillar of Helkar, while Ormal, glowing golden, stood upon the southern tower of Ringil. Manwe, the Lord of the Winds and Skies, hallowed the lamps, ensuring their radiance spread far and wide. Under the combined efforts of Aule's craft, Varda's light, and Manwe's blessing, the lamps bathed most of the world in an endless day as Yavana's creations began to flourish. In the spring of Arda, a time of harmony during the days before days, Arda flourished under the glow of the newly created two lamps. Their radiant light, crafted to bring balance to the world, marked the beginning of a peaceful time where Yavana's seeds took root, filling the lands with lush greenery and life. The first blossoms emerged, and the songs of newly born birds filled the air, celebrating a world in bloom. Under this gentle illumination, Arda saw its first true season of growth, a tranquil beauty that the Valar all shared and nurtured. In the peaceful spring of Arda, Almaren thrived as a radiant island shaped by the joy and harmony of its Valar and Maiar. Vana the ever-young graced the fields with endless blooms, filling the air with sweet fragrances, while Nessa danced across the meadows, her laughter lifting the spirits of all who saw her. Nienna, the Lady of Mercy, moved quietly among them, her compassion and gentle sorrow bringing a depth of resilience to their tranquil home. Ilmare, Varda's chieftain, helped maintain the starlight, while Eönwë, Manwe's loyal herald, stood as a steady, watchful presence. Along Almaren's shores, Ose and Uinen roamed together, balancing the waves with playful energy and calming grace. Melian helped Yavana to fill the groves with her songs, each note a thread in the island's tapestry of peace and beauty. In these serene days, Almaren blossomed under their care. In the desolate emptiness of the void, Melkor's rage simmered, fed by thoughts of Tulkas and the other Valar who had ruined his ambitions and driven him into exile. As each valiant year passed, his hatred grew fiercer, a dark flame that even the void could not quench. Brooding on all he had lost, he seethed, sensing the peace the Valar had built, festering like an open wound. At last, his patience gave way. His time had come. Returning from the void to the northernmost edge of the encircling sea, he poured his wrath into the sky, molding the north into a place of shadow and fear. Cold darkness spread outward from him, chilling the air and dimming the heavens, veiling his movements as he prepared his descent. Cloaked in this gloom, Melkor crept southward, his fury against the Valar sharpening with each silent step. Osei swam alone in the restless waters of the northern edge of Arda, his spirit agitated by a darkness creeping from the void, consuming the light and life around him. As he glided through the tumultuous waves, he sensed an ancient malevolence approaching, an overwhelming presence that sent shivers through his essence. The Dark Lord was drawing near, a shadow gliding silently toward Arda. Curiosity and dread intertwined within him as he emerged from the depths to confront this looming darkness. The clash that ensued was fierce, waves crashing violently as Melkor's rage met Osei's. "You are the strongest of the Maiar," Melkor whispered, his voice laced with manipulation, stoking the embers of ambition within Osei. But despite his fierce spirit, the darkness proved too great and he faltered. As the Dark Lord's victory became undeniable, Osei bowed his head, surrendering to promise of power, acknowledging his place beneath the shadow of Melkor. Utumno, the dark fortress of Melkor, arose in the northern shadows of Arda, as the Valar busied themselves with the world's creation. In those early days, Melkor persuaded Osei, a Maiar of the sea, to act as his agent and incite great turmoil in the southern waters, drawing the Valar's attention away from the north. Seizing the opportunity, Melkor delved deep beneath the Iron Mountains to construct his fortress Utumno, also known as Udun. Hidden in the cold shadows where the light of the two lamps was most dimly lit, it became the wellspring of Melkor's blight, a twisted realm of fire-lit caverns and monstrous pits filled with corrupted creatures and fallen Ainur who had allied with him. Here, Melkor began molding his perverse creations, mocking the beauty of Arda's natural life and tainting the spring of Arda with his festering hatred. Melkor's corruption seeped into Arda as he built Utumno, his dark fortress in the Iron Mountains underneath the northern lamp. From this hidden lair, a shadow spread over Middle-earth, warping its first spring into a twisted mockery. Plants withered, and new growth became twisted with choking weeds. The once clear waters turned to stagnant fens, and animals began hunting each other with an unnatural cruelty. The Valar sensed the sinister change and knew Melkor had returned, but his stronghold eluded them. Meanwhile, Osei, now under Melkor's secret influence, stirred the seas, drawing Valar and Maiar to search the oceans in vain. Yet, as the hunt stretched on, Winen began to sense Osei's altered nature, her suspicions stirring deep within her heart. In the face of Arda's encroaching corruption, Manwë summoned the Valar and their loyal Maiar to guard the land from evil, each sent forth to resist the spreading darkness. Orome rode through shadowed forests, his presence a warning to twisted creatures lurking in the depths. Tulkas's mighty steps drove fear into the hearts of corrupted beasts, his laughter ringing as he hunted those born of Melkor's malice. Eönwë, steadfast and vigilant, patrolled the coastline, his eyes sharp and ready. Together the Watchers stood as guardians against Melkor's blight, their presence a relentless force to reclaim the beauty of Arda before it could be wholly undone. In the early days of shaping Arda, Varda, the Lady of the Stars, wove a radiant web of light across the heavens to connect the Valar, aiding them in their mission to shape and safeguard the world. Her delicate web served as a guide, illuminating their path as they worked to nurture life, pushing back the encroaching darkness that lingered beyond. Yet, in the furthest reaches of her light, where the shadows cast by Melkor gathered thickly, her sight was veiled. Utumno, his hidden fortress, lay entrenched in these dim depths, beyond the reach of her web. Here, Melkor's darkness spread, unseen and unchecked, coiling like a serpent around the fringes of Arda. Though her light could not find his stronghold, Varda's weaving protected the heartlands of Arda, casting a shield that held the dark at bay and giving the Valar strength to stand fast amid the growing shadows. In the shadowed peaks of the Iron Mountains, Osei arrived at the door of Utumno, his steps laden with reluctance as he ventured deep into the dark, his heart wavering between loyalty and fear. He knelt before Melkor, whispering news of the Valar's movements, their defense of Almaren and the wedding soon of Tulkas and Nessa upon its beautiful island. Yet, even as he spoke, a dim sorrow clouded his gaze, a quiet mark of resistance against the will that bound him. Outside, unseen in the mist, Winen trailed Osei's path, watching as he entered the darkness with dread filling her heart. Inside, Melkor's voice coiled around Osei, low and menacing, giving him a secret command. He departed from the fortress, steps heavier than before as Winen followed him to the looming light of Ormal, the southern lamp, ready to confront him. Under the radiant glow of Ormal and Iluin, Almaren echoed with joy as the Valar and Maiar gathered for the grand feast of Tulkas and Nessa. Tables overflowed with heavenly fruits, shimmering wines, and delicacies from across Arda, while music filled the air, sung by voices of the Maiar and Valar. Tulkas smiled heartily, his gaze soft as he watched Nessa dance, light and free as birds on an endless meadow. The Valar raised their cups, and Manwë toasted to love and unity. As the night wore on, laughter grew gentler, songs turned to murmurs, and even Tulkas, ever tireless, began to feel the weight of his contentment. Finally, he sank into a peaceful sleep, his strength at rest for the first time. But as the quiet fell over Almaren, a dark presence stirred beyond the edges of the island. Under the towering radiance of Ormal, Osei stood, his mind clouded and hands trembling as he prepared to carry out Melkor's dark command. The lamp's warm light bathed the land, a contrast to the shadows overtaking Osei's heart. Suddenly, Winen appeared, fierce and pleading, her arms outstretched in desperation to stop him. They struggled, his strength overpowering her as he pushed her back, his face twisted in sorrow and fury. But when he struck her, the pain in her eyes cut through the darkness within him, stirring the love they shared. He faltered, his heart breaking free of Melkor's poison, and for a moment, Winen's hope shone as she drew him back from the edge. Yet just as their bond rekindled, Melkor seized control again, consuming his essence entirely. With a final devastating blow, the light of Ormal shattered, and the tower of Ringil came crashing down upon the earth. The earth shook and skies darkened as Melkor's laughter echoed, a bitter, mocking sound lingering in the aftermath of Osei's corrupted rampage that felled the southern lamp. The Valar and Maiar scattered across Arda reeled in shock, their spirits trembling as the luminous pillar crashed, spilling torrents of radiance and chaos upon the world. Before they could rally, Melkor struck again, his fury sharpened and relentless, a shadow clad in vengeance as he soared to the northern lamp, Iluin. With a single devastating blow, he shattered the final pillar, casting Arda to break apart as the remnants of the lamps blazed and died. With both mighty lights extinguished, Melkor retreated to the cold, impenetrable depths of Utumno, his triumph absolute, and the world left reeling in the chaos of his wrath. The fall of the two lamps tore Arda asunder. Earth and sky convulsed, and furious seas flooded over shattered lands, reshaping the world. In the chaos, Aule, Ulmo, Yavana, and the Maiar struggled to hold the world's fractured lands together, but Melkor's wrath was unstoppable. Defeated, the Valar gathered their strength and fled westward across the now distant sea, settling on one of the split continents they name Aman, a land of peace and beauty, where they would build anew. In their absence, the now land of Middle-earth lay twisted and scarred, divided by violent waters, forever altered by the ruin of Melkor's destruction and chaos. And so ended the First War, However, a darker age was set to unfold as the War of the Gods loomed on the horizon.